Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. Danny, physician astrologer. Today's video is about the coming new moon on the very, very early morning hours of November 20th or November 19th, depending on where you are in the world. But it's right there around the midnight hour, at least for most of the time zones in the United States. It's a very interesting lunation. Whenever I get ready to give you guys an astrological forecast, I always look for the lesson. Like, what's the energy? What is the sky trying to teach us? And the lesson that unfolded out of this one is really quite amazing. And I call this the warrior's revelation because just a few days ago, Mars was activated by Mercury retrograde, and then Mercury retrograde peaks at the moment of this new moon. I mean, Mercury is right there in our face, and I'll show you some uh, astronomical data to show you what that looks like. And then we have Uranus in opposition, looking at the sun, the moon, Mercury. Oh, and by the way, Black Moon Lilith. So they're all together for this new moon. Then we have a bunch of other aspects. There's a beautiful Grand Trine. Venus is making wonderful aspects to the nodes. And then later this month, between now and the full moon, Venus will be activating that Grand Trine, just like the sun is right now. So we are going to look at all of this beautiful energy. I'm so excited. For those of you that are channel members, sorry I didn't put this out for you first. I just got overwhelmed with all of the things that the world is asking me to do right now. And today I can do it. So I'm doing it and it's going live for everyone at the moment. But I just want to once again extend my gratitude to the channel members. Thank you so much for your support. I really, really appreciate you. So I think without further ado, we'll just get into it. Let me share my screen. All right, friends, let's start from the 30 million foot view because we are part of a larger system. And when the moon begins and completes a cycle, the energy and the aspects that the planets are making to one another flavor the energy of that lunation. That is why I always tell you to begin working with your lunar energy at the new moon, not the full moon. You don't want to be caught off guard. So what we'll do is we'll zoom in to the inner solar system because that's where all the magic is happening. And so what we have here with a new moon is the moon will be right here. This is such a huge distance that, the moon is not represented, but it is on the sunward side of the earth. Okay. And then there's Mercury retrograde at its inferior conjunction. Look how close Mercury is to Earth as opposed to when it's on the other side of the sun. This is a huge distance. It's almost twice as far away when it begins its cycle. And this cycle began on September 13th. Venus is slowly approaching her superior conjunction with the sun, which will be on January 6th. This will be a miraculous alignment with Mars, Venus, Pluto, sun, and moon. It'll be really spectacular. And then, of course, we have the interstellar object, Three-Eye Atlas, now a morning phenomenon. So you have to get up around 3 or 4 in the morning to watch it rise, but it can be seen by earthbound telescopes right now. It's a pretty interesting object. That's not the subject matter of this video. There are plenty of other folks that are watching the daily in and outs. It seems to have adjusted course a bit, but so small that I don't know that it really changed any of these calculations too much. So there you have it. So what we do next is let's go to the star map so that we can see where Three-Eye Atlas is in our chart. I believe I put it in the right place on our charts in the PowerPoint presentation, but I want to just make sure we have it. Okay, so it would appear that Three-Eye Atlas will be in the right third of Virgo, and that's where I put the comment. So let's look at stellium and look at this new moon, because this, my friends, if you have not been to this channel before and you're looking for new moon information, you may have the belief that this moon is in Sagittarius or Scorpio or something like that, but it's not. Look at this. I'm going to put the constellations in. It's in Libra. Yeah, within hours of this new moon, the moon will be moving into the stars of Scorpio, but the sun is in Libra. It will not be in Scorpio until 11:23. And the reason the moon looks below the sun right now is because your south node is over here in Leo. And so the sun travels this red line, but the moon will dip down below this ecliptic as it crosses the nodes, and it will go above the ecliptic as it crosses the nodes. We can see Venus here in Libra as well. She is not visible in the morning anymore unless you are in a very clear, cold, dark place at sunrise. You might be able to get a little glimpse of her if you have a telescope, maybe even, but she's really, really far away, as you saw from the star map. So she's about to close out her cycle, burn away this cycle into the sun, and then reemerge as the evening star after January 6th. And then you see Mercury in there too. Mercury is right here between sun and moon, and then Earth is on the one side of it. And this is very interesting energy. It is, Libra is not just about like balance and harmony and diplomacy. It is about the literal, metaphysical, cosmic weighing of the scales. This is the journey between the world of the living here in Virgo, you know, the birthing mother sky goddess creating and destroying, and then the land of the dead. And Libra is between that. And when you look at Libra's glyph, it's the sun between two worlds. This is why I love Mercury here, because Mercury is Hermes, and Hermes's job was to transmit messages from the world of the living to the world of the dead. And this is the path. So it's not always easy, because balance and harmony and equality is the name of the game. And if anything is unbalanced, unharmonized, or unequal, it has to get set straight here, or the transit into Scorpio will be very painful and surgical, because Mars is there right now. So it's important to know like where you are. You know, this is not, I don't even know what they're calling it. It might be calling it a Sagittarius moon, but it's not a Sagittarius moon. Not even close. I think next month it will be, or it might even be an Ophiuchus new moon. But at any rate, there's your moon right there. Let's clear these drawings. And let's look at a chart, because there are so many interesting aspects. But before I do that, there is an amazing opposition here to the moon and sun with Uranus, which it's also important to locate Uranus, because Uranus is not in Gemini, friends. Look at this. Right now, this is astronomical data for November 20th. Uranus is still in Taurus and will be for several more years. We're nowhere near Gemini energy. If Uranus was in Gemini right now, it would fry our nervous systems. And what we're doing here, we have the Pleiades. This is very familiar energy for a lot of you, for a lot of us. Our ancestors came from here. We have codes, we have DNA that's waking up. And Uranus is bringing that awakening. It's the great awakener. And we are learning to embody it. That's what Taurus is about. The world around you, the stuff, the slow matter, the being in the right here and the right now. And so whatever unique, crazy, revolutionary codes come through, this is what the sun and the moon and Mercury and Black Moon Lilith are staring across the chart at, these new codes. So this feels like a very mental and earthly revelation. It could be a good revelation, a revelation that blows your socks off and you're just like, oh my God, I had no idea. Or it could be the kind of revelation where you're like, I can't believe I didn't know that. And what does my whole entire existence mean right now? And really, it just depends on where Uranus is for you. Like for me, this particular star cluster is right there above, in my 12th house above my ascendant. Uranus is retrograde, and next year will move right over my ascendant. So the I am that I call myself with my Taurus rising may change significantly. And it already is on that path, because Uranus moves very slowly. So you really can't call this Gemini energy. I just don't think you can do that for these outer planets. And I definitely don't think you should be calling 3i Atlas in Libra, because it's not a seasonal object. It's a cosmic object. And so we should use the asterisms and the stars to think about 3i Atlas. But I have several presentations on that. And then here we have Jupiter in Gemini, just turned retrograde this way, and we'll move again back through Gemini towards Cancer next year. Not in Cancer yet. Hold your horses, everybody. And then, of course, the one that really gets me is, well, there's two of them, is that Neptune. And you can look in the sky for yourself, just find planet Saturn, and there you will have Neptune, even though you can't see Neptune. But my goodness, look at what constellation Saturn and Neptune are in. Is this Aries? No. Neptune will not be in Aries until the year 2040. And Saturn will take his own sweet time and get through Pisces by 2028. So we're not dealing with Aries energy with these two at all. Not at all. So that's all I want to say about that. And then the final placement in the sky, and we're just looking at the sky. This is taken from direct observations. Pluto is leaving Sagittarius and is in the very first degree of Capricorn. He's not in Aquarius. He won't be there until 2040 as well. So we have a little bit of time to destroy and excavate the structures and the ideals that we thought we were chasing for the good of ourselves and the good of humanity. This will change. This will purify. Structures will rise from this that are based in absolute authenticity and truth. We're not there yet, you guys. We had to change our beliefs as Pluto moved through Sagittarius, and now those beliefs become manifest. So if you're holding a high vibe, Pluto's going to do wonders for you in Capricorn. Because if you're building from something true and authentic, then that structure is usually meant to last. So that's your sky. Let's go ahead and get into the charts so that we can get a deeper analysis, because there's always some darker energy in the sky that we cannot see, but we know they're there based on astronomical calculations. All right, all that was just the introduction to orient you to the true sky. And now we are going to dive into the deeper astrology and the aspects. And yes, we are going to take this by rising sign, and I will show you how to find your true sky constellational rising sign as we go through this. Just to orient you in time, we are here on the 20th of November. And this is a Libra New Moon conjunct Mercury retrograde. Black Moon Lilith is also right here. Currently, Venus is in Libra, or will move into Libra on the 17th. And she's making a trine to the North Node and a sextile to the South Node. I'll show you in the chart. But then right after this new moon, the swelling moon, the first quarter and the full moon, going to bring this lovely energy with Venus and the outer planets. Venus will make it, this is what the sun is doing right now. Venus will make a trine to Jupiter retrograde, and then another trine to Saturn and Neptune, creating a grand trine. Then she'll pick up a conjunction to retrograde Mercury. The sun will move into Scorpio, and then Venus will move in with the orb of Black Moon Lilith. So all of this energy, especially with Venus in an opposition to Uranus, during the week of the United States holiday of Thanksgiving. So some very interesting, very sparkly energies through this week, at least for Venus. Saturn will turn direct on the 29th. And then Mercury will station direct on the 30th. We have a golden phoenix angle between the sun and the moon on the 1st. And then Venus will move into Scorpio. So that's pretty much from here, this new moon, until we get to the full moon on the 5th. So I just wanted to orient you there in the calendar. And once again, I just want to thank all the channel members, especially you gold stars, because y'all have been here since the beginning. And I am just so grateful that you're here and that you support the work that we're doing, the research that we're doing. So thank you so much once again, guys. All right. This is the chart of November 20th of 2025. This is early in the morning for me, Central Standard Time. Okay. So right here, you can see this tight conjunction of moon, sun, and Mercury, like 17, 17, and 34 seconds or minutes of these 15-degree placements. And then Lilith is just 2 degrees away from the whole lot here. So we've kind of already talked about, we always talk about what the new cycle means. It's a brand new moon. It's a clean slate. It's a time to set intentions so that by the time your full moon comes, your intentions are met. And so you want to do realistic things, within a monthly cycle. But again, this moon is marked by this Mercury retrograde. So this is an intense mental channel energy. Like what's going on in your mind is so incredibly intense right now. It might be hard for you to focus. This is the peak of Mercury retrograde cycles. If you have been working with Mercury retrograde since the 13th, you should be starting to manifest whatever intentions you are setting consciously or unconsciously. So all the little weird things that are going on in your life, the crazy synchronicities it's all Mercury right now. Typically, once Mercury passes this point, the channel begins to crackle and fade, and there's a little bit of static. So you have the way that you work with Mercury is a little bit different. But Mercury has been sort of kissed by Mars on the return journey back towards the sun. And this was intense. Like this was the first week of November, and I felt it. There was a lot of tense words, misunderstandings. It was really, really incredible. But now that Mercury's moved into Libra, it should be a little bit less intense because Mars is really about to enter the deepest part of the sky, that Mars and Ophiuchus energy. I'll probably do like a short video on Mars and Ophiuchus because I know that there's some of you out there with this. And it is the warrior that surrenders. And that's why I call this the warrior's revelation, because it feels to me as though we are going to get some kind of shock and awe information, whatever that means. It could be around something that we had no idea, that completely flips the script. Because if you look across the chart, you've got Uranus over here looking right at that sun, moon, Mercury, and Lilith. And Lilith is the dark, banished, rejected part of yourself. And when Uranus looks that energy and that power in the face, it says, I see you. I see you. So it's a nice opportunity to channel some really cool downloads that may be really creative. If you're not getting revelations, you're certainly bound to get some really stunning ideas here, ideas that could be really impactful and transformative. So when we look at your rising signs, this particular combination will be in a particular house for you on your natal chart. So for example, this chart is Leo rising. So as we read this chart, I'm basically reading the third house for Leo. So anybody that has Leo rising, the sun rules your chart. The sun and moon and black moon Lilith and Mercury are all in your third house. So there's that opposition. We've talked about Uranus. Look at this amazing grand trine between Saturn, Saturn, Neptune, Jupiter, and then this stellium here in Libra. That's pretty much eclipsing the sun, the Venus, and Mars. So what is this? Well, this is like a cosmic flow. What does Jupiter do? Jupiter is in the mental land of Gemini right now, expanding the knowledge, wanting to know as much as possible, seeking, searching. Especially since it's retrograde now, it's really strong because any retrograde planet is at least one astronomical unit closer to Earth, and that's almost 100 million miles. It's really, really close. So that same thing with Neptune and Saturn. They're also close. And anytime Saturn and Jupiter are in a trine with one another, this is really good energy for manifesting, for creating your dreams, for building a world out of integrity and spirituality and high vibe energy. And then you've got the moon and sun and Mercury down there getting some kind of knowledge, a hit, a revelation, where Mars, square to the nodes, is going to be challenged to take action. So let's look at each of these components. We have Jupiter up here, and Jupiter is also square to Chiron. So this is expansive healing. This can also be over wounding, over identifying with the wound, over studying the wound. Sometimes you just can't get at why you do what you do. Sometimes you just have to accept it that, yeah, you were wounded and a little bit broken. You know how sometimes those stray dogs are so cute because there's just something wrong with them, but it's unique and it's their original energy. Like my stepdaughter got a stray cat that was born without a tail, right? So that was the weird thing about Eddie the cat, and so if you accept that your tail never grew and just love yourself, that's a really constructive way to work with this square here. Yeah, accept the knowledge, but don't like be the victim about it. It might show you something about yourself you didn't know, so, and something that you should truly love. So actually I'm getting ahead of myself with these aspects. So there it is. You can see how close they are. I didn't flip through the slides. We talked about this opposition. Oh, and this is the slide I really wanted to show you. Because here's the deal. Earth is actually right between Mercury and Uranus. And this is like the quicker, faster frequencies. And these are the longer, slower cosmic frequencies. And we are right between them. And so we are very nicely positioned to receive some very high vibrational cosmic downloads with this combination, not only with Uranus zapping it down, but also because of this trine. So this is the revelation here. Then there's the square with Chiron. And then we have Jupiter and Pluto in their opposition. And these two are looking across the chart at one another. Jupiter wants to expand knowledge, wisdom, wants to understand, wants to put all the pieces together. And Pluto really wants to begin building. And so, what are you going to build with that truth? And that's what this axis is asking. It's alchemical black gold with these two looking at each other. They want to work together. They're actually brothers, and they're staring across each other at the chart, like, okay, picture Thanksgiving dinner, right? With the older brothers sitting at each end of the table and staring each other down. One is sort of like the brooding brother, and the other one's the bubbly, joyful, drunk brother, and they're staring at each other, and yet they hold so much power over the entire table. And then of course, we have this configuration. Kenneth Bowser did a wonderful video on this and the history of these combinations between Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus. It's really, really stunning. What he postulates is that this is a configuration that will propel humanity into a new age of technological innovation, space travel, maybe even alien contact, and really integrating that knowledge into our spiritual and mystical frameworks, so a philosophy as well. So this combination where Saturn and Neptune, sort of the spiritual devotion, is surrendering to the transformation of Pluto, and then surrendering to the metamorphosis and the revolution of Uranus. And then of course Pluto and Uranus are in a trine, and these are, Uranus is the OG. It's like the grandfather of Pluto almost. So when these two are in a trine, it's like powerful metamorphosis. So we are set up energetically for some powerful transformations by understanding the truth, by having shocking revelations right now. And then we have Venus, who's doing a sextile to the south node and a trine to the north node. So she's able to go back to the roots of the joy of creation and use that to help the collective destiny with her creative powers. And then Mars is kind of the lesson of this whole astrology report, because he's in the bends and in Scorpio, right? So this is a very natural energy for Mars. There's very little emotion here. It's as if Mars does what Mars needs to do. A great crisis energy here. So Mars in Scorpio can really deal with crises because they're used to it. You don't always have to get involved with other people's crises. So what we're deciding here is, what crises do we want to take action for? What are we fighting for rather than what are we fighting against? So this is basically this moon. It comes with a revelation of sorts, and the flavor of that depends on the house, other aspects that you have in your natal chart. So I don't know, but it could be amazing too, depending on what else you have going on. You might have some really good aspects to Jupiter, really good aspects to Venus that are pulling energy through for you. You may also be in a year in your zodiacal life where you're in a certain house of your chart, and you would focus on that. And then, of course, 3i Atlas, the interstellar objects, right here in the last third of Virgo. And by December, we'll be birthed into the energy of Leo, and will approach the closest distance to planet Earth. So that's what we're looking at. This is a very important lunar cycle, you guys. We are literally approaching, as I've mentioned before, what feels like a compression wave. a singularity of energy. And I'm not sure what the nature of it is. It's mostly intuitive. And then when I look at the astrology, I see a lot of things combining. I see a lot of cycles resetting together. So I think this is a great lunation to embody that revelation, embody the new DNA, the new cosmic codes, and then really see what comes up. What can you create? What can you expand into? What can you evolve into? So, we're going to get into the rising sign readings. I'm going to show you how to play along. So, you can go to the timestamps below and click on your rising sign if you know. If not, just a quick primer before we get into Libra rising. We'll start with that and then we will go around the zodiac. So, here we go. Okay, friends. So just real quick, if you're interested in connecting with me at all, working with our stargazers, there are some things you can do that are just awesome that help the algorithm. It's all about engagement these days. And so if you've got a placement in your chart you want me to think about, pop it in there. Somebody else might answer, I might answer. Like the video. There's a new feature called Hype. I don't get any money for it. It's just kind of brownie points. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. Share this video with somebody that might want this information. And then we're over on Facebook in the Fellowship of 13 Signs. Now, if you want to step it up and really support what's going on here, you can join the channel. Okay, this is a great way to see first look content, to see exclusive content. You get a coupon code for 13% off a natal chart reading with me. And then you also get to join our monthly Stargazers Zoom call. And we usually will do that right before the new moon. So we're going to meet this Sunday at 6 p.m. So consider joining the channel so you can be there with us and say hello and share your chart with us and learn with us. You can also get a reading. You can go to drdanny.com. Links are below. Take a course if you want to learn. Then, of course, the 13th sign, Ophiuchus and the astrology they don't want you to see. Forward by Athen Commenti, authored by me. If you want to know everything I know about Ophiuchus. Okay, so how do we find our rising sign? Your birth time is essential. If you don't have this, you need to find it or have someone rectify your chart for you so that you know exactly what time you can use. The other thing that you can do if you don't know your birth time is there a planet that you identify with? Is there one of the many planets that are out there that you just, man, that's my planet? Like maybe it's Venus or maybe it's sun energy, maybe it's moon energy, or maybe you love Saturn and Pluto. Look and see what constellation those are in, and then put that on your ascendant, and then see if that works for you. You can use stellarium-web.org and change the time and date to your birthday, day, and time, and then just look on the eastern horizon of that program. You can go to drdanny.com/free chart, and there is a web calculator there. I don't even need your email. You can put in your details, and you look on the left side of the chart where you see ASC, and wherever that is, whatever constellation that's in, that is your ascendant. So the rising constellation in True Sky Astrology may be different than your tropical placements. Some astrology modalities even don't even use the houses in the same way. So the timestamps are all below. If you know your rising sign, I'm going to get right into Libra Rising. Hello, Libra Rising. So your rising sign gives you the chart ruler of Venus, if you do the traditional rulerships, or if you like a more new age, modern mystic approach, with the receipts from mythology, you can have Mercury be your chart ruler. It's up to you. I like Mercury for Libra very much. This means that Sun, Moon, Black Moon, Lilith, and Mercury are all in your first house of self. This is the mirror moment. The light is on you, but it is a cleansing light, not a spotlight. You are being shown who you are beneath performance and habit. Every part of your identity that was designed to keep the peace is now tested for truth. With Mercury retrograde right in your first house, reflection replaces reaction. Speak less. Listen inwardly more. Your nervous system knows what is real long before your mind articulates it. Uranus reflects from your 7th house over here. Partnerships and alliances serve as mirrors of awakening. So you will get your aha moment from another person, Others will show you exactly where you have compromised authenticity in order to maintain harmony. Some relationships will shake, not to harm you, but to release what no longer supports balance. So, some kind of disruption in a relationship, but liberation in love is the new justice. This Grand Trine is a first, fifth, and ninth house Grand Trine. So, wisdom flows from within you outward into your worldview. Jupiter retrograde in Gemini reactivates curiosity, guiding you to expand philosophy, travel, and spiritual understanding. Faith and intellect form a circuit. New truths arise when you ask better questions. So your beliefs are rewriting themselves to match your lived experience. So Jupiter is square to Chiron in your sixth house. Okay. This square has more specificity for you, Libra, because you know where it is. It is a ninth, sixth house square. So this square brings humility. Not every revelation is going to feel comfortable or wonderful. You may encounter the limits of your own understanding through the body. Health or work challenges highlight where theory and practice diverge. Healing requires patience, and wisdom must pass through vulnerability before it stabilizes. Jupiter also opposes Pluto in your third house. Meaning meets manifestation. Words carry the power of transformation, and every conversation can shift your destiny. You're learning to use language as a sacred tool rather than persuasion or performance. Be precise. The truth spoken clearly now becomes your foundation for the future. So then we have Venus in your first house as well, making a sextile to the south node in your 11th house and the north node in your fifth house. So creation and faith merge. Saturn retrograde here in your fifth house and Neptune retrograde rebuild relationships with art, romance, and joy. Pleasure becomes devotional, and boundaries around creativity invite mastery. Inspiration is sacred work, and it thrives when given structure. These two both sextile Uranus in your seventh house. So this energy means that communication and relationship receive divine architecture. In other words, the universe steadies your hand as you speak new contracts into being. Collaboration, negotiation, shared dreams all benefit from this cosmic support. So old scripts will dissolve, new dialogues will begin, and Venus blesses you with grace but asks for maturity. It's an emanation of self-respect. Emotional intelligence replaces performance. So speak kindly, act deliberately, and you become harmony itself. And then finally, your action, what you're here to do, this lunation, this is what Mars is asking you. So ask yourself, what are you fighting for, Libra rising? And does it align with the life that you say you want? Mars in Scorpio will cut through the illusion. Every action you take now is karmically loaded. Anger, passion, desire, these are sacred energies when directed consciously. Use courage to sever what keeps you small, and the universe will rush in to fill that space with truth. Scorpio and Ophiuchus rising, you are lumped together because these constellations are on top of each other on the ecliptic. They're not side by side. So even if you're a Scorpio sun, you're still an Ophiuchus energy. And same thing with Ophiuchus. It's a continuum here. This puts Sun, Moon, Black Moon, Lilith, Mercury retrograde all in the hidden corner of your chart. This is the sacred dark of the psyche where the soul remembers what the mind forgot. Revelation will become reflection. The stories you tell yourself are rewritten from within, and any unprocessed emotion will ask for gentleness, not judgment. You're clearing spiritual residue so that self-trust can return. Uranus across the chart is in your sixth house. The rhythm of daily life is ready to change for you. Unexpected insights about health, work, or partnership routines awaken you to where service has become servitude. Freedom comes through refinement. So honor your body's signals. They're messages from the divine engineer recalibrating your system. The Grand Trine begins in the 12th house and flows to Jupiter in the 8th. So this is a 12th, 8th, and 4th house Grand Trine. There's a flow here, a circuit of faith through the depths. Private healing links to transformation and intimacy and anchors it in emotional security down here. The universe forms a triangle of trust, teaching that surrender is safety. What you release now strengthens the very ground beneath you. So the teacher enters the temple of shadow. Expansion comes through the willingness to explore shared resources, vulnerability, and deep connections. Old fears around dependence or loss can dissolve into new forms of mutual empowerment. Curiosity heals what control once protected. Jupiter squares Chiron. Chiron's in your 5th house. So this is the 5th, 8th house expansion of wounding here. So what does that mean? Well, joy can become the medicine, but it can also become the challenge. Where the mind may know growth, the heart must feel it. Creative expression reveals hidden pain, and laughter opens what logic defended. Jupiter opposes Pluto in your 2nd house. The axis of value and power light up. Money, self-worth, and the energy exchange transform honest scrutiny. Integrity in partnerships and finance become non-negotiable. What you truly value cannot be bought. It's literally lived. And then you have Saturn and Neptune with the North Node retrograde in your 4th house. So the roots of your being are softening and reforming. Saturn gives structure to belonging. Neptune reminds you that home is a frequency. Family patterns, ancestral memories, or literal spaces may shift as you redefine safety from the inside out. The new foundation is emotional truth. These two sextile Pluto and sextile Uranus, and this is your 2nd and your 6th house, this energy together. So the cosmos builds a scaffolding beneath all these changes. So work, resources, stability are all supported by some kind of unseen hand or force. Practical efforts align with divine timing. What you craft patiently now will endure. Then you have Venus in your 12th house, just behind the ascendant. This is a very powerful spot. She's sextile to the North Node or South Node and trine to the North Node. So love hides in the silence between breaths. Compassion replaces craving. This Venus teaches surrender, the art of letting go with grace. You're learning to love without holding and to give without depletion and to find beauty in endings as much as beginnings. The drive for public recognition eases, reputation matters less than resonance, and success is redefined as a peace of mind and alignment with purpose. So Mars in your 1st house, how you take action now defines who you are and who you're becoming. Right now, this moon is the catalyst for you, Scorpio and Ophiuchus rising. The warrior is waking within you, asking for embodiment of everything that you have realized. Mars will sharpen your will and demand direction. So act from truth or don't act at all. Each choice this month is a karmic lever for you. When you move with integrity, the universe meets you with force. Courage is your compass, and embodiment is your prayer. Sagittarius Rising. Jupiter rules your chart and is one of the components of this wonderful Grand Trine. So do look where Jupiter lives in your natal chart as well and see if the transiting Jupiter is making any aspects. All right, so you will have Sun, Moon, Black Moon, Lilith, and Mercury retrograde in your 11th house, as well as Venus in the 11th house, uniting in the realm of community, collaboration, and the collective vision. This is where friendships and connections become alchemy. The new moon rebalances your relationship to the idea of belonging. You must ask yourself this question: are you surrounded by resonance or by obligation? Mercury retrograde, this will be the aha moment for you. So it will reopen old conversations, giving you the opportunity to speak the truth. Venus will soften the space for new alliances to form from the truth. Black Moon Lilith reveals where you've hidden your brilliance to fit in. So the cosmos is recalibrating your social field so that only what reflects your authentic frequency remains. Across the chart, in the fifth house, you have Uranus retrograde. So it's freedom through joy, unexpected creative surges, flashes of inspiration, disruptions in romance, and it will awaken your inner artist. All of these things will make you feel more creative, whether it feels good or not. So here you have to be very original. What you create now must be true, not trendy. Play becomes the sacred rebellion. So let delight guide your innovation. The Grand Trine starts in the 11th house with the sun and the moon and flows to Jupiter in your seventh and then to Saturn and Neptune in your third. So the group, partnerships, and knowledge, the local community. So it's a circuit of dialogue between the heart, the mind, and connection. People around you mirror the lessons of partnership and communication. Conversations heal, relationships evolve, and your voice becomes the bridge between dream and reality. Collaboration is your classroom for the wisdom this month. Jupiter's retrograde in your seventh house. So partnerships will mirror the expansion of your consciousness. You are being asked to revisit agreements, expectations, and dynamics with partnerships with honesty. Growth in relationships require curiosity, not certainty. So when you allow others to be teachers rather than projections, harmony returns. Jupiter square Chiron in your fourth. So it's the partnerships around your home, tension between the outer connection and the inner safety. Relationships may trace back to childhood wounds or ancestral patterns, triggering you. So the healing begins when you tend to your emotional roots rather than intellectualize them. The square is tender, but it's liberating. Love cannot stabilize if the foundation beneath it is cracked. Jupiter opposes Pluto in your first house. If this is an ego death, I don't know what is. The balance between self and other becomes the central initiation. Pluto in your first house is rewriting your destiny from the ground up, while Jupiter challenged you to hold the integrity in every bond. You are learning that partnership begins with self-possession. When you know your power, you no longer confuse compromise with connection. And then you have Saturn and Neptune in your third house, where speech becomes sacred instrument as well as thought. Saturn disciplines your mind, and Neptune infuses your words with empathy and artistry. You are mastering the art of saying less, but meaning more. So use language as architecture, not decoration. Every idea you express can now anchor future reality. And then this powerful sextile to Pluto and then to Uranus here means that creativity and communication form the divine support beams for your new identity. Your mind, voice, and artistry cooperate with destiny. What you build through words and play is blessed with lasting resonance. Venus is in your 11th house, sextiling the south node, trining the north node. She reminds you that beauty is amplified when you share it. Love becomes communal. Generosity should guide your collaboration, so give appreciation freely and new alliances will thrive. Venus teaches the grace of reciprocity, receiving by giving and shining by reflecting. Mars in the 12th house is the lesson for your lunation. And here is your quiet fire, Sagittarius Rising. Mars works behind the scenes now, acting through intuition rather than impulse. So this lunation is sacred preparation for you, a time to refine your will and dissolve hidden fears before they dictate action. Your power will grow in stillness. Your courage is cultivated in the unseen. When Mars emerges next month, the choices you make now will guide his direction. So trust your instincts. The invisible work is the real work. Capricorn Rising. Saturn rules your chart, and Saturn is also part of this Grand Trine between Sun, Moon, Black Moon, Lilith, and Mercury retrograde, and Jupiter and Saturn plus Neptune. So you have the stellium of Sun, Moon, Black Moon, Lilith, and Mercury retrograde, and also Venus in the house of your vocation and public presence. It's not just about your career, it's about the calling. The world sees you differently now because you're no longer performing success. You are redefining it. Mercury retrograde revises the message you project, while Venus restores beauty to ambition. Black Moon Lilith tests your integrity. Are you serving truth or are you serving status? The new moon here is rebalancing the purpose, and the path ahead requires transparency in every professional alliance and creative endeavor. Across the chart in your fourth house, you have Uranus staring down this stellium. The ground beneath you is shifting to keep pace with your tremendous evolution. Sudden changes in home, family, or inner stability remind you that freedom begins in the root system. Let domestic adjustments liberate rather than unsettle you. You are electrifying the past so that new foundations can form. The Grand Trine is a second, 10th, and 6th house phenomenon for you. It's a circuit of embodiment. Vision in the 10th house connects to service in the 6th and anchors in values in the 2nd house. Your spiritual life and professional life are aligning through consistent daily practice. What you believe must now be lived through the body, through work, and through tangible action. Jupiter sitting retrograde in your 6th house expands through refinement. So pay attention to health, scheduling, and service routines, because they will reveal to you the philosophical lessons you need to learn. For example, instead of doing more, do what matters. Efficiency is the enlightenment. You're learning that discipline is devotion in motion. Uranus squares your 3rd house Chiron. Communication tests your wisdom. Words may expose old insecurities or family wounds, but they also carry healing potential. So here, listen before speaking. Don't be so dogmatic. Don't be the one who's always right. Every dialogue is a classroom. And when you articulate what hurts, you reclaim authority over it. And then, of course, you have Pluto right here about to, in the next year or so, transit into your 1st house. This is where big, deep, powerful transformation takes place. And so here lies the axis of purpose and surrender. While Jupiter wants growth, Pluto demands release. Some ambitions must die so that authentic calling can breathe. The inner work you do in solitude now becomes the invisible scaffolding for public transformation later. This opposition is the soul's audit before the rebirth. You have Saturn and Neptune in your 2nd house. Value and faith merge here. Saturn grounds worth in responsibility, and Neptune dissolves scarcity through trust. You're learning to own your gifts without apology and to price your time according to its sacredness. Every boundary you set around energy exchange reaffirms your self-respect. The gods form a safety net here with Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus. As Pluto dismantles what's outdated and Uranus reconfigures home, the Pisces elders hold you steady. And the message is simple. You can release without losing yourself. Every ending contains architecture for a gentler beginning. Meanwhile, Venus in your 10th house, which is wonderful energy, sextiles the South Node in Leo in your 8th house and the North Node in Aquarius in your 2nd house. So grace returns to your public life. Relationships with colleagues and mentors smooth out as long as you lead with authenticity. Release any entanglements, financial, emotional, or energetic, that drain your vitality. Closure in the spaces of shared resources and power dynamics frees you to act independently. And then you can have confidence in your own abilities that your evolutionary step is being completed. So when you honor your skills, speak your worth, the world responds in kind. Prosperity begins with the ownership of your own value. And here's where the teaching is, with Mars in your 11th house squaring the lunar nodes. This is where the warrior rises. This is the leadership activation, the moment when personal will aligns with collective purpose. Mars in Scorpio charges your alliances with passion and intensity. You are meant to catalyze others, to turn shared vision into coordinated action. Every project or cause that ignites your spirit now is part of that rebirth story. So, Capricorn rising, move with conviction, but keep integrity as your compass. The warrior of Capricorn no longer conquers, they build. And this is your Phoenix hour. Aquarius rising. Uranus rules your chart, and Uranus is a key player in this lunation. So check where your natal Uranus is. See if your natal Uranus is being aspected by the current transiting Uranus. But here you guys have Sun, Moon, Mercury retrograde, and Black Moon Lilith, as well as Venus, all in your ninth house. This is the realm of philosophy and perspective. This is your invitation to rediscover meaning. So the questions that once guided you are evolving. Truth itself feels alive again. So whatever revelation you get will likely be about some kind of wisdom or truth. And it urges you to examine belief instead of defending it. Venus will beautify the process, helping you find grace even in uncertainty. And Black Moon Lilith strips away borrowed doctrine so that direct experience can take its place. It's time to trust what you know rather than what you were taught. And then you have Uranus retrograde in your third house, staring down the stellium. So your chart ruler electrifies the mind. Communication, technology, local environment become the catalysts for liberation. Insights arrive suddenly, new ways of speaking, new ways of teaching, connecting. You are learning that freedom isn't rebellion for its own sake. It's the honesty of unfiltered thought. And innovation begins with language. The Grand Trine involves your fifth house, first house, and ninth house. So faith, creativity, and embodiment merge into a single current. Philosophy feeds art and play, and both anchor in self-realization. The universe is teaching you to live what you believe and to express what you've lived. This is your artist sage initiation. The thinker becomes the creator, and the creator becomes the message. Jupiter in your fifth house means that the inner child for you is actually the guru, and expansion arrives through joy, curiosity, and honest self-expression. You may revisit old passions, rekindle forgotten talents. The retrograde makes creativity reflective rather than performative. So the purpose is literally delight. Let play rebuild faith in life's goodness. Because Jupiter squares Chiron in your second house. The friction between inspiration and self-worth become visible. You're asked to price your creativity fairly, to believe in the value of your voice. And when discomfort arises around money or recognition, remember, it's not arrogance to receive compensation for sacred work. It's balance. Jupiter also opposes Pluto, Pluto being in your 11th house for this lunar cycle. Collective expectations challenge personal joy. Pluto in your 11th house transforms your role within groups and communities. The tension between belonging and the individual source becomes the teaching. When you refuse to perform for approval, you magnetize the perfect collaborators. You also have Saturn and Neptune retrograde in your first house, refining embodiment. And Saturn gives your presence gravity. Neptune infuses it with grace. And together they sculpt your soul's transparency, strength without rigidity, compassion without collapse. You are becoming what you believe. Saturn and Neptune sextile Pluto in your 11th and Uranus in your third. So the cosmic architects stabilize your networks and your voice. Authentic communication, responsible community, that work builds bridges that last. Speak clearly, act gently, and the world will adjust around your integrity. Venus being here also blesses your journey with the meaning of beauty. Study, travel, and cross-cultural dialogue open the heart. Venus reminds you that love is also a philosophy. It is the art of seeing divine pattern in differences. So your relationship patterns built on agreement rather than truth will dissolve. Partnership becomes the companionship of equals, not compliance. And then release dependency on validation from others. Because evolution is personal for you right now. Love begins with the self acceptance and then radiates outward. So the more authentically you live, the more harmonious your connections become. And your presence is the teaching. So for you, Aquarius rising, Mars is in your 10th house. And here the warrior steps into the light. Mars in Scorpio fuels purposeful action in career and leadership. This is visible courage, the drive to stand for something meaningful. Every move you make in public now shapes your future authority. The warrior activation you feel is the world asking for your integrity in action. Lead with precision, move with intent, and let your example be the revolution. Pisces rising. Neptune rules your chart. Neptune and Saturn and the South and the North Node are all in your 12th house. One of the points on the Grand Trine that focuses on the Sun, Moon, Black Moon, Lilith, and Mercury retrograde. So they're sitting all in your 8th house as well as Venus. And this unites the depths of your psyche. This is the chamber of transformation, intimacy, and power exchange. Secrets are going to surface for you, right? But they're not doing it to punish you. They're doing it to free energy that they were guarding. And the new moon invites you to see where attachment has become entanglement and where love has turned into control. Mercury retrograde means that old conversations around trust and vulnerability resurface for honest closure. Venus will soften what might otherwise sting, turning the descent into grace. Black Moon Lilith will expose the sacred truth that your raw emotions are the gateway to liberation, not weakness. So let it move through you. Because Uranus is right across the chart on the other side, looking at this stellium in your 8th house. He's standing in your 2nd house. The revolution of worth begins. Finances, possession, and self-esteem are jolted awake by Uranus's electricity. You may discover unconventional ways of earning or sharing resources. The universe reminds you that stability is internal, not circumstantial. So radical self-value becomes the foundation for every transformation that follows. The Grand Trine begins in the 8th house, flows to the 4th house, and completes with Saturn and Neptune in your 12th house. This is the current of healing that runs through your inner world. Deep emotional release connects to the rediscovery of your roots. So the deep release here, connection to the roots, and it culminates with spiritual renewal here. The ancestors are whispering through your dreams. The soul is remembering its original promise, and faith and psychology merge into wisdom. So the more you trust the unseen, the safer you will become. Jupiter retrograde in your 4th house means that the home is your temple of understanding right now. The expansion will occur inward through the dialogues with family members, through insights into your ancestors, or the simple act of being still. This is the philosopher's stone, where every emotional revelation becomes a teaching. Rebuild the sanctuary within your walls and within your own body. Jupiter squares Chiron in the 1st, where growth meets vulnerability. So as you heal your wounds, the ego stretches to accommodate a more compassionate self. The square invites you to integrate pain as wisdom, not proof of limitation. And your body becomes the living scripture of your evolution. Jupiter opposes Pluto. Pluto's in your 10th house. Pluto in your 10th house transforms how the world perceives your authority. Old career identities dissolve so that purpose can be reborn. Power no longer comes from control. It comes from transparency and it comes from frequency. The private healing you do at home births a new public resonance. Saturn and Neptune in the 12th means that this is a purification of spirit. Saturn disciplines your spiritual practice. Neptune restores mystic sensitivity. Together, they teach boundaries between empathy and absorption. The soul matures through surrender. You are learning that structure does not imprison spirituality, it protects it. And then you have the sextile back to Pluto and the sextile back to Uranus from Saturn and Neptune. The gods form a bridge between your unseen faith and visible manifestation. Inner clarity begins to stabilize your material and professional life. When you align value with vocation, prosperity follows. And Venus, also in your eighth house, she anoints transformation with tenderness. So pleasure returns where pain once lived. Venus helps you approach intimacy as art, not negotiation. Relationships and inner life can breathe. She trines the North Node in your 12th house. So evolution happens through compassion and through solitude. Venus teaches you that devotion is not withdrawal, it's presence without demand. And the more you nurture your spiritual connections, the more naturally love flows through your life. So here's where you're called to action with Mars in your 9th house squaring the lunar nodes. This ignites your faith. This is courage on behalf of truth itself, a crusader for authenticity and for truth. You, Pisces Rising, are being asked to live your philosophy with passion, to embody what you teach, travel, learn, boldly express belief as it will activate you on all levels. The warrior within you is not fighting the world. It's fighting for the world. It's fighting for meaning. So every step you take in integrity becomes a prayer in motion. Aries Rising, Mars rules your chart. And Mars is the focal point of the remedy of this revelation and evolution that we're going through. This puts the new moon stellium with Mercury retrograde and black moon Lilith, as well as Venus in your 7th house. So this shines light on every relationship. This is a mirror moon for you, Aries Rising. Every reflection, lover, friend, colleague, or client will reveal what you've become, who you've become. Mercury reopens old conversations for resolution, while Venus restores grace to what was fractured. Black moon Lilith strips away niceties so that only honesty remains. And the new moon here is a reset of partnership karma. In other words, equality replaces projection. Don't ask, do they love me? But ask yourself, can I meet them in my truth? Uranus is retrograde across the chart in your 1st house, meaning that you are the lightning rod. Identity itself is being rewired within you, and the others around you feel it, and they will reflect that to you. Sudden shifts in self-image, health, or appearance remind you that freedom is your birthright. What you change now isn't superficial. It's electric authenticity breaking through habit. And of course, you have the Grand Trine in your 7th, 3rd, and 11th house. So relationship, communication, and community form a loop of wisdom. Dialogue with others fuels new ideas and anchors in collective vision. This trine teaches relational intelligence, how to listen as an act of leadership. When you collaborate instead of compete, your influence multiplies. Jupiter's retrograde in your 3rd house. So the pen turns inward. Every conversation, text, or journal entry becomes a classroom. You are learning to communicate with precision and to expand by refining. Meaning grows not from speaking louder, but from speaking truer. And Jupiter squares Chiron in your 12th house. So words will touch the wounds. The mind will want logic, and the heart will ask for compassion. Vulnerability in conversation becomes the medicine. Allow forgiveness to be spoken out loud. It completes cycles the silence couldn't. Jupiter opposes Pluto in your 9th. Thought meets transformation. Pluto in Capricorn challenges your worldview, asking whether your beliefs still serve your evolution. Old philosophies collapse so that lived truth can stand. And when ideas change, destiny changes with them. Saturn and Neptune are in your 11th house. where community becomes spiritual practice. You are redefining what it means to belong. Shared purpose matters more than popularity, so build circles that reflect your integrity. And then, of course, Saturn and Neptune sextile back to Uranus and Pluto, who are in a Grand Trine. And so the gods construct a stabilizing geometry here. Your evolving philosophy and your reinvention gain structure through disciplined vision. You are being quietly trained for leadership that unites intellect and embodiment. Venus in your seventh house. So this means that love takes center stage, but we must be mature about this. Venus reminds you that harmony is active, not passive. Beauty is found in honesty and affection in boundaries. Relationships will become the art when both people honor the masterpiece that they are creating together. So ego-based romance and competitive creativity, release all of that. That needs to fade. Genuine joy must return. And then destiny calls through collaboration. So your heart opens widest when it's in service of the collective gift. And then Mars in your eighth house, the ruler of your charts, is actually standing in your eighth house right now. So look into your chart where your Mars is, and if Mars is making any aspects to the current Mars. Here stands the ruler of your chart, the heart of this activation. Mars in Scorpio is literally fearless, surgical, alchemical. This is the warrior of truth, entering the underworld to reclaim your power. Every act of courage now requires surrender. Trust, intimacy, transformation. It's what the eighth house is all about. So what you confront in the dark becomes your new strength. Direct your will towards healing, and your presence will radiate authority. The Aries warrior does not fight to dominate. They fight to unify through connected passion and purpose. This is your mastery in motion, Aries Rising. Taurus Rising, beautiful Taurus Rising. This is also me, so we will talk about this together. We get the sun, the moon, Mercury retrograde, and black moon Lilith in our sixth house, the temple of our daily life. So this is the moon of refinement for us, literally of aligning the sacred with the ordinary. So every routine, every act of service, every bodily rhythm, brushing your teeth, drinking your coffee, becomes a mirror for balance. Mercury in retrograde calls us to reorder before we expand, while Venus reminds us that beauty belongs in the details. Black Moon Lilith in this space makes self-care radical. She asks us to stop abandoning ourselves in the name of productivity. The new moon is a reset for how we serve, not from duty, but from that devotion. We have Uranus in retrograde in our 12th house, probably about to cross your ascendant. And liberation begins in the invisible space, the dreams, the intuition, and the subtle sensations that awaken us to the old patterns. The nervous system is recalibrating and flashes of insight arriving in the quiet moments. We are learning that freedom doesn't require rebellion. It requires release. And then the Grand Trine that starts in our sixth, flows to our second, and completes with Saturn and Neptune in our 10th, shows us that the universe is creating a flow between work, worth, and purpose. What we refine in daily practice strengthens our value system and stabilizes our vocation. This trine builds mastery through consistency. So the smallest disciplines now become the scaffolding of the legacy that we're constructing. So keep doing what you're doing, Taurus Rising. Don't stop. Don't give up. Don't change it. Keep doing it. See the devotion, see the beauty in the small things. So with Jupiter in our second house, we're expanding through remembering our own voice. We are reevaluating how we measure value, not just in money, but in confidence and integrity. Jupiter's asking us to study our relationship with abundance. Where do we overgive and where do we withhold? True prosperity grows from clarity, not accumulation. Jupiter squares Chiron, which is in our 11th house. So the community mirrors our healing. Friends or collaborators may unknowingly press on old insecurities, revealing where we fear not being enough. Instead of retreating, we can stay open. Vulnerability becomes our bridge to that authentic connection. Jupiter opposes Pluto, which has been transiting through our 8th house. This is the dialogue between self-worth and shared power. This is going to deepen very much over the next lunation and over the next several months, actually. We are learning to hold our value even in intimacy, to share resources without losing autonomy. Pluto insists that we face what we avoid: money, trust, desire, wounding, so that relationships can transform into true partnerships. Saturn and Neptune are retrograde in our 10th house, so purpose matures. Saturn structures our calling. Neptune reminds us why we care. And together they teach that professionalism and spirituality are not separate paths. And integrity becomes part of our reputation. So the work that we do now is soul work, visible in every small gesture. And that bigger structure where Saturn, Neptune sextile back to Chiron and Pluto, the elders of the sky form a net of grace. Transformation and awakening are supported by divine timing for us. We are protected as we step into deeper trust with life itself. Venus is moving through our 6th house, blessing the mundane with art and beauty, teaching us that devotion is expressed in the way we tend to what's right in front of us: our health, our work, our rituals. When we move through these tasks with love, then service becomes creation. Emotional patterns inherited from family will begin to release this month as she sextiles our 4th house. And we're no longer bound to prove worth through caretaking. Home can finally become a place of rest, not repetition. And the future opens through vocation because the North Node's in our 10th house. So every act of self-care is an offering to that higher purpose. The more balanced our daily rhythm, the clearer our public calling becomes. So profession becomes an extension of well-being. And then our action this month is in the realm of relationships as Mars sits in our 7th house, squaring the lunar nodes. The ruler of the relationship axis activates sacred confrontation. And this is where we meet power with power, truth with truth. Partnerships of all kinds demand honesty and courage. Conflict isn't a threat, it's the forge. Mars asks us to show up as equals and to engage with passion, to stand firm without control, and to love with the full force of authenticity. Through this fire, balance is reborn. Hello, Gemini Rising. Mercury is your chart ruler, and this Sun, Moon, Mercury retrograde, Black Moon Lilith combination is sitting in your 5th house. Venus is also here. And they're gathering in the temple of creativity, desire, and self-expression. The moon is calling on that inner artist, lover, and muse to awaken. Mercury retrograde turns your attention inward, asking you which stories of joy and pleasure you're ready to rewrite. Venus will soften the perfectionism so that you can be delighted. And Black Moon Lilith demands honesty in what you create and what you crave. This is joy as spiritual clarity. So when you let pleasure move freely, it reveals your truest identity. Across the chart in your 11th house, your community field is electrified. Friendships, groups, collaborations, and even audience dynamics shift with sudden insight. Uranus will awaken a new future timeline, showing you exactly where resonance exists and where it doesn't. The Grand Trine begins in your 5th house, flows to Jupiter in your 1st house, and completes with Saturn and Neptune in your 9th house. So creativity, identity, and the worldview pour into each other. What you express becomes what you are, and who you are shapes what you believe. And then what you believe becomes the architecture of your reality. This is a profound alignment between your creative impulse, your becoming, and your spiritual philosophy. Joy is your path. Jupiter's retrograde in your first house, meaning that you're rediscovering yourself. This isn't expansion outward, but expansion inward. It's a retrograde mirror holding up your identity, your confidence, your presence. You might actually shift your appearance, your voice, or your posture as you reorient toward your authentic self. You are growing into a much larger version of your own truth. Jupiter also squares Chiron in your 10th house. So purpose and visibility meet vulnerability. You may feel tender around career directions, leaderships, or even being seen, actually. The square opens healing, and public presence expands when it's honest. You are meant to embody wisdom through lived experience. Jupiter's also opposite Pluto, which is sitting in your 7th house. So relationship truth is illuminated here. Pluto in your 7th will expose hidden dynamics in all of your partnerships, power balances, emotional contracts, unspoken expectations. Jupiter brings the perspective. When you express yourself truthfully, you transform how you relate. This is the alchemy between the I and the we. And then you have Saturn and Neptune retrograde in that 9th house. So your philosophy, spirituality, and worldviews are all being refined. Saturn will ask you for structure in your studies, your teaching, your spiritual practice. And then Neptune will ask you for surrender to the mystery. The North Node opens a destiny path through wisdom, learning, and truth telling. So your voice becomes clearer as your beliefs mature. And then, of course, the OGs, Saturn and Neptune sextiling back to Pluto and sextiling back to Pluto, or Uranus and Pluto, means that the universe supports your evolution through relationship and community. Partnerships deepen through clarity, and friendships evolve through authenticity. You are becoming a bridge between heart wisdom and collective vision. Meanwhile, Venus sits in your 5th house, blessing your creativity and your joy. Love becomes inspiration. Art becomes healing. Pleasure becomes devotion. Old mental loops and outdated narratives are dissolving with the sextile to the South Node. And then your heart will guide your future as she trines the North Node. So when you follow what lights you up, your beliefs elevate and your path clarifies. Now, the lesson of this lunation for you is Mars in your 6th house, square the nodes. This is the ignition. This Mars is going to sharpen your routines and ritualize your discipline. This is like sacred service, the warrior monk, the devotion to what you care about through daily action. Mars will ask you to move your body, refine your systems, clean your habits, and choose precision over chaos. Every task becomes a spell of intention. You are building a life that honors your energy rather than drains it. The warrior here, Gemini Rising, fights for consistency, clarity, and mastery. Cancer Rising. The moon rules your charts. So anytime we talk about lunar energy, it should be a big deal for you. And this new moon is just as special because we are conjunct a retrograde Mercury and black moon Lilith, and it is in your 4th house, which the moon sometimes does rule, right? 4th house Cancer moon energy. It's the root of your chart. It's the sacred hearth of your being. The moon's inviting you to find peace in the foundations that support you. So your home, your family, your inner sanctuary. Mercury retrograde turns your attention inward towards the stories you've told yourself about safety and belonging. Venus brings beauty into the spaces where you live and feel, reminding you that nurturing is an art. Black Moon Lilith here strips away sentimentality to reveal the deeper truth of what family really means. It's not about blood or obligation. It's about resonance. The new moon asks you to rebuild your temple of emotional stability from the inside out. And then you have Uranus across the chart in your 10th house. The outer world is shifting to reflect your inner awakening. You might feel the ground move under your professional life, calling you to redefine success. So if a role, title, or reputation no longer fits, liberation will follow honesty. The universe is preparing you for visibility that mirrors your authenticity. So let that vocation evolve with your soul. And that Grand Trine is a fourth house, 12th house, eighth house energy. This is a current of deep spiritual restoration. Emotional roots feed the intuitive expansion and culminate in a profound trust and shared experience. The cosmos teaches that security arises from surrender and not control. So the more you soften into faith, the stronger your foundations become. Jupiter's retrograde in your 12th house means that the teacher moves through your dreams. You're expanding in silence. Intuition should be your compass, and you should spend some time alone. Jupiter's asking you to rediscover your private spiritual practice and the rituals that open the door to the divine within. I went through this last year, and this is very much an internal process. So what felt like retreat is actually replenishment. Jupiter squares Chiron in your 9th house. So old beliefs are being healed here. The mind seeks certainty, and the heart asks for faith. You're going to find yourself wrestling with philosophy, religion, or worldview. And the square reminds you that wisdom does not require proof. The wound in belief becomes the teacher of compassion. Jupiter is opposite Pluto, which is in your 6th house, transforming your daily life. And it mirrors the work that's happening to your soul. So all the health routines, service, work habits, they're being purified. And you're asked to choose integrity over obligation. So when you align your daily rhythm with your inner truth, then vitality returns. Saturn and Neptune are here in your 8th house. And this is a karmic clearing of shared energy. Saturn will define the boundaries where trust has been blurred, while Neptune dissolves fear around that vulnerability. Together, they teach sacred reciprocity, how to give without losing self and to receive without guilt. The North Node here points to evolution through emotional intimacy and shared purpose. So Neptune and Saturn will sextile back to Uranus and Pluto, creating this beautiful OG structure. And this means that the universe is stabilizing your transformation. As you work and relationships evolve, divine timing ensures that change supports your long-term goals. This is the slow architecture of destiny being built in the background. Venus is also in your 4th house, blessing your sanctuary. And so home becomes that place where you fall in love with yourself again, softening the walls that protect you and filling your private world with beauty and warmth and happiness. Allow yourself to rest, to nurture, because these are the acts of devotion that actually sustain your magic. The attachment to possessions or external validations begins to fade as Venus is sextile back to the South Node. And real intimacy becomes your future. As you release control, life meets you halfway. Shared vulnerability transforms isolation into union, and you remember that giving and receiving are the same gesture. And then finally, the call to action for you with Mars in your 5th house. This is the spark of rebirth. This lights a fire in your heart, right? Your passion is reawakened. Play, courage, it all comes back. This is the energy of creative power and of romance that feels alive and unapologetic. So Mars asks you to take a risk, to look for joy, to express yourself fully, and to create for the sheer pleasure of existence. Because through this courage, Cancer Rising, the heart becomes both the weapon and the wand. You are ready to love boldly, to live wildly, and to trust the pulse of your own becoming. Leo Rising, the sun rules your chart. So whenever we talk about a new moon or full moon or an eclipse, the sun's going to be involved. Your chart ruler will be involved. The stellium with moon, Mercury retrograde, and black moon Lilith are all in your 3rd house, the realm of words, learning, programming, and reception. This feels like a mind awakening moment. So the new moon's going to ask you, how do your thoughts shape your reality? Mercury retrograde will blur the noise so you can hear that truth beneath it. And Venus, also here in your third house, brings diplomacy to conversations, softening old conflicts with grace. Black Moon Lilith, though, will challenge false harmony. So she wants language that liberates, not appeases. And the third house is your environment, your voice, your patterns of thought, and how it becomes sacred ground for honesty. Every sentence spoken in integrity becomes a spell of alignment. Meanwhile, across the chart is Uranus, a retrograde in your ninth house. So your beliefs are breaking open to the light. You might feel a sudden desire to travel, to learn, or to literally unlearn. And Uranus awakens that philosophical freedom, helping you to release doctrines that no longer match your lived experience. So walk the world with wonder, this lunation. This Grand Trine starts in the third house, connects to Jupiter in the 11th, and to Saturn and Neptune in your seventh. So the universe is connecting your voice, your community, and your partnerships into one current. And the trine teaches that communication is creation. The stories you tell ripple outward, shaping relationships and networks. And then collaboration becomes the artistry when you speak from clarity. Jupiter retrograde in your 11th house means that the teacher returns to your circles of connection. You're redefining what friendship and collective purpose mean. Growth happens through reflection on your role in the group. Are you contributing from heart or are you contributing from habit? Jupiter reminds you that influence is sacred when it uplifts others rather than inflates the self. Jupiter's also square Chiron in your eighth house. So intimacy challenges idealism. Shared power or emotional vulnerability may actually feel uncomfortable under this square. But this is where the healing begins. When you risk honesty in your closest bonds, you restore trust in humanity itself. The wound of exposure becomes the bridge to real connection. Jupiter also opposes Pluto in your fifth house. This means that pleasure transforms under this pressure. Creative power demands integrity. Pluto in that fifth house of yours tests whether that joy is authentic or borrowed from others' expectations. Are you faking it? The opposition will purge that need for applause, leaving behind only pure creative truth. You are remembering that love and art are not performances, they are transmissions of faith. Saturn and Neptune retrograde in your seventh means that relationship karma is ripening here for you. Saturn will ask for accountability and Neptune dissolves illusion. Together, they balance boundaries with empathy. The North Node points to spiritual partnership and divine teamwork. These alignments are invitations to rebuild love on foundations of honesty and equality. Saturn and Neptune are sextile back to Pluto and also back to Uranus, creating the universal reinforcement of your evolution. Creative power, philosophical freedom, and spiritual maturity form a stable triangle of support. You are becoming both the student and the teacher in the art of conscious love. Venus from your third house sextiles that south node and trines the north node, so she blesses your words. All forms of expression are infused with her charm and her beauty. Venus reminds you that the voice is an instrument of peace when tuned to truth. This is the perfect time for creative projects or reconciliatory conversations, apologies, because the old identity softens. And so the need to defend your perspective relaxes. So the things that you said they don't matter anymore. And destiny unfolds through this dialogue. So the more you open your communication, the more profound your partnerships become, and love flourishes where words are gentle and intentions are clear. And then finally, Mars here in your fourth house anchors your action. This is the ignition. Energy gathers around the home, around ancestry, around emotional safety. and the warrior protects what truly matters. Some of your old family patterns may surface, not so that they get brought up. I mean, it's the perfect time with the holiday season, but this is really a moment to transform it. Mars will ask you to claim your emotional authority, Leo rising, to move passion into protection, anger into construction, and fear into foundation. This is your sacred fire, tending the roots of your power. What you build from love will last. And last but not least, beautiful Virgo rising. If you follow my work and like the way I do readings, Venus rules your chart. If you like the traditional ruler, then Mercury rules your chart. And either way, both are in your second house right now, conjunct Sun and Moon. Well, Mercury is conjunct Sun and Moon and Black Moon Lilith, and Venus is on her way. Within days, she will be conjunct this stellium. This is all in your second house. So it's the realm of worth. You're being invited through this new moon to reimagine what you embody. Mercury guides a reevaluation of priorities, especially around money, possessions, and self esteem, all the second house stuff. Venus will harmonize this process, reminding you that abundance is born of appreciation. Black Moon Lilith exposes the subtle ways you undervalue yourself or overextend for the approval of others. The new moon here is a recalibration of the inner scale. What you give must be balanced by what you receive. Uranus emphasizes this across the chart in your eighth house. So transformation strikes like lightning. Shared finances, emotional bonds, energetic entanglements may shift unexpectedly. Uranus awakens new approaches to intimacy and resource sharing, challenging you to trust in a mutual evolution. So look for that honest connection. The Grand Trine starts in your second house, connects to your 10th house, and connects to your sixth house. So the universe builds a current here between self-worth, purpose, and devotion. It's the architecture of service and mastery. You are learning that confidence isn't arrogance. It's like that quiet knowing that your contribution truly matters. And when you honor your work as sacred, prosperity flows naturally. Jupiter's retrograde in your 10th. Career and calling are expanding. Instead of chasing new opportunities right now, you're refining your relationship to the visibility. Jupiter's teaching you that influence grows through integrity. So you have to ask yourself here, what do I want my work to mean? And the world will align to the clarity of that answer. You just have to know what the answer is. Jupiter squares Chiron in your seventh house. So collaboration reveals some of your old wounds, right? You may confront insecurities about being seen or supported. It's really important to be honest here because this will heal the patterns of imbalance. And true cooperation begins when we stop trying to do it all alone. So reach out for help. Jupiter opposes Pluto in your fourth house. So public achievement meets that private transformation. Pluto in your fourth is exposing the roots of ambition, the need for security, approval, and belonging. When you build your career on authenticity rather than expectation, success becomes sustainable. So what's going to die here is fear, and what is reborn is purpose. Saturn and Neptune retrograde in your sixth means that devotion becomes part of your destiny. Saturn is demanding structure in the service and the wellness, while Neptune brings compassion and faith. And together they reveal that your body and your work are instruments of spirit, of source. So this is evolution through meaningful service, giving only what you can give. And then, of course, we have the sextile back to Pluto and the trine to Uranus here. And the elders of the sky are weaving stability through transformation, emotional safety, shared trust, and spiritual structure all intertwine here. And the result is a grounded faith. You're supported as you refine the form of your daily devotion. Venus is also in your second house. This is a great place to have Venus. blessing your material world. Luxury isn't excess, it's literally honoring the senses. Let pleasure of your body, taking care of yourself, teach you how to receive. Old guilt around having or wanting should dissolve because of the sextile back to the South Node. So you're really seeing the value in yourself and treating yourself well, right? Purpose becomes the embodied practice now. Like you know what you want, you know what you want to do. So the choreography of giving and receiving, meaning that every act of service is also an act of love. And so Virgo rising, here's your call to action. This Mars is sitting in your third house. It sharpens your words, focuses your mind, and communication becomes an act of power. This is the voice that cuts through illusion and the will that follows through. You may feel driven to write, to teach, or to speak with new authority. Just remember, precision carries more weight than volume. The warrior here fights through clarity. Every sentence is a spell. Every decision is a declaration. Every thought is an action, and every action can be transformation. So speak what you mean, and the world will shift to match your truth. And that, my friends, as they say, is that. Yes, I lost my jacket in the middle of that reading because I get hot when I'm channeling. So um, that was fun. All right. Well, we made it through that one. That was a long one. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Please leave comments below if you had any thoughts or anything came up during that reading. I'm always willing to look at your comments and I love hearing your feedback. So I will see you all on the next video. Namaste, guys.